So, hello everybody. Welcome to our last session of the spring season. This is for June, where we're going to be talking about referral and influencer marketing in the ERP and CRM channel. I want to say a big thank you for all of you for attending this session. And I want to also say a huge thank you to our CMA founders who are the ERP and CRM software blog, as well as the partner marketing group for keeping the lights on here and sponsoring us as we go through this season. Please ask any questions as we're going through this. Sharing is caring. So if you have any ideas or things you want to share with the audience, please put them in the chat, come off mute, or you can be really crazy and show your face and do some video as well. Just saying, like, still waiting for that to happen, but always try. Anya and Michelle will be monitoring the chat for me because, doing two things at the same time is kind of hard. So if I miss a message going through, they will keep me honest and we'll get to it. So I'm not doing it on purpose to ignore any of you. So without further ado, we are going to start talking about today's session. So and as a very elder millennial, when I hear about influencer, I'm thinking about the TikTok and the Kim Kardashians of the world. But we know that that has definitely evolved since then. So we have influencers everywhere, even in our B2B, ERP channels. So their presence and marketing strategies are growing in popularity. And that's why we thought it would be a great idea to talk about that today. And also referral marketing, that's always stays the underbody of
Mhm.
nobody does it, but everyone uses that as their number one lead source. So we'll try and debunk and demyth some things around that as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our three panelists for today. Sam, why don't you start by introducing yourself?
Sure. I am Sam Bush. I am a partner marketing lead over at NETSTOCK. NETSTOCK is an inventory management and demand planning software here in the ERP space. I am also the host of Ambush on Air, where I do a podcast all about sales, marketing, and partnerships in the channel and really throwing out ideas that maybe are counter to what you're hearing. I just did one with my friend Jacob Pepper about cold calling and how I think it's dead. In my audience. So tons of fun things on the podcast you can learn. And then I also am a recent award winner of the brand builder for the Doug Dynamic User Group Committee. So
Congrats on that, Sam. Thanks for coming back and, as always, entertaining us.
you
Kelsey,
know it.
we're going clockwise here, so you're next on my list.
I'm Kelsey Kashluba, and I am from OnActuate. We are a Microsoft and Dayforce partner. I am newer to the channel marketing. I came from a startup tech background in 2024 and switched over. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, welcome to the dark side, and looking forward to hearing how a newcomer sees our industry and what works and what doesn't work for you. And last
Mhm.
but definitely not least, Liz, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm Liz Anderson, and I am the Vice President of Global Marketing at Solver. I've actually been in the ERP channels for 25 years and counting. Solver is a extended financial planning and analysis solution that essentially integrates into key ERP systems to help customers accelerate better decisions. In addition to loving marketing and loving partnerships. I am also the president of the board for a community called AccuConnect in the
Mhm.
Acumatica channel. That is one of the communities I'm going to talk about as an influencer channel today as well. I've also been an Acumatica MVP and been on the CRM Women of the Channel list for 9 years.
Heck yeah.
I am, and I and the rest of the channel marketing academy are super excited to hear about all you have done to build this channel up for us. So, without further ado, we're going to get to question number one, and we will start with you, Liz. When it comes to referrals, where do you get the most of them? Where do they come from? Other clients, partners? Tell us a little bit about and tell us a little bit about that and how does influencers now play into that role and type of lead gen?
Absolutely. Well, the easy answer is everywhere, but we'll talk about what everywhere means. And you kind of kicked it off with saying, like, when people think about influencer referral marketing, often we're thinking of like celebrities and people that have huge TikTok followings and things like that, right? And so they don't always think of it from a B2B perspective. They're thinking about it from a B2C perspective. And so when it comes to the B2B space, which is all of us here on this call today, it comes from multiple facets. So it comes from people that we've created relationships with in the industry. So for example, Sam and I have met at multiple conferences. If I had a question, I'll call Sam, right? Like that's one thing. So you create these relationships as you network and get connected in the community. Consultants for the channel, for the VARs, and the people that are doing the implementations for the ERP and CRM applications are great resources. Not only do they move from company to company, so we've actually had influencers that were huge solver consultants for us, went to another partner that we maybe weren't currently interconnected with, and then they helped get us into working with that partner more. Other things out there are like niche content creators. So I think of people like the ERP software blog, right? Or the Channel Marketing Academy, or, we've got Carol Livingston here on the call today, where there's lots of people out there that know a lot about certain topics, and they maybe focus in on one aspect of that, or maybe multiple aspects of that, and understanding who their reach is and talking, to them about how you can get more involved with those. For us too, as a financial planning and analysis platform, like I look at niche content creators in our space. So I'm looking for associations, as well as people that are out there that are well known in the industry. So that, like, we just recently went to an AFP event, which is financial professionals event for the accounting channel, and there was this one guy, his name is literally the FP&A guy, and so we like sought him out and said, okay, how do we get involved with you? Now, some of these relationships are pay to play. Some of them you just form, and then they naturally, organically will promote you over time, right? So as I mentioned, being the president of the AccuConnect board, we created that community from subject matter experts in that channel who really wanted to share their expertise and share their insight with others. And it started out really as like a partner community, but it has morphed into very similar communities that you'll see in the Microsoft channel, for example, like Microsoft, the Dynamics communities, or DUG, and some others. MSDW is another one out there that we see a lot of. And so those AccuConnect is similar to that. But what we've done as an influencer in that channel is we are providing educational content out there for others to learn. So whether you're new to that channel, or whether you're a prospect for that channel or an existing customer that wants to enhance their solution, they know that we're this source of truth. And one thing that we did to make sure that we had credibility, or built credibility up, was making sure that Acumatica was backing us, right? And when I say backing us, they don't run it. We're a completely independent organization, but they sponsor our events and do keynotes and promote us and things like that. So, these things are all across the channel. I am a past employee of Avalara. Another way I've seen this is they have created an Avalara Alumni Association. So even though I'm no longer there, I still say I bleed orange. And so they want to know who those people are and keep track of them so that they can be referral sources for their solution, even though I'm no longer there. So that's a great example of, being a past employee. And then I would be amiss to not mention things like podcasts. So we got Sam on here today. She has her own podcast, right?
Yep.
I've done podcasts with enterprise software, with Darcy and with Bob McAdam on their podcast about the ERP channel. And so Amy Keenan's another one who does a podcast and is has her ISV society out there. And all these people have access to people that either I know or don't know. And it just expands my ability to, as a company and as a professional, know who potentially I can be getting referral sources from. The last thing I'll mention that for those of you that are like, okay, how do I potentially become an influencer myself, right? It all comes down to, I think, your personal brand and putting yourself out there, right? And so oftentimes, I feel like there's a lot of people that know a lot, but we don't know who they are because they're maybe afraid to take that next step to put themselves out there and do things like we're doing today. So for anybody that's listening and they're wanting to become maybe one of those influencers of the channels, my advice to you is to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. You got to start somewhere. We all did. There was a time in my career where I was like, "Oh, I am never presenting," and now, uh,
Look at me now.
you know,
Exactly.
I do it in my sleep. So yeah, lots of areas, lots of things that I covered on that front. But like I said, they're everywhere, and you just got to know where to look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think what's great about this channel is that everyone's there to help you as well.
Totally.
We've talked about this before in the past, and I think this
Mhm.
community is a great example of sharing is caring, and you just reach out to
Mhm.
anyone who's on the call today, or even put it out on LinkedIn. You'd be surprised how many people are ready to help you and give you that little lift you need or little push in the right direction to start, because we all started somewhere, and as the introvert that I am, this puts me out of my comfort zone. So I think, everyone has their way that they start going. But what to not talk only about me here, I think what's super important about what you said is really that credibility factor. I think that's going to be
Mhm.
definitely a common thread that we're going to see across the podcast today. I said podcast,
You
channel
did.
marketing chat.
Ooh,
Ooh, am I
what's next?
manifesting something? I don't know. I don't know. Um, so that sense of credibility is so important that maybe we don't have right away, but we can build up with it within our community. So I hope
Yeah,
everyone is already taking notes. No, we don't already want to see Tanya with her own podcast.
I do. I'll be on it with
uh,
you.
okay, well. Hey, I guess this is being recorded, so I don't have a choice now.
Voluntold.
So on that note, Sam, why don't, before we totally get derailed, when it comes to influencers, who do you see as influencers in our community? Liz already mentioned a lot of them, but maybe you can hit it home with some of your fan favorites as well, including yourself. We we
Yes,
we love
okay.
self-promotion here.
Well, so do I, or I wouldn't have this hat on. But two things. I think what Liz touched on, I have like this mindset that influencers are people and places of influence are where you put all of that. So things like ERP software blog is a place where you put your influence, right? So when I think of influencers, I personally believe that I am an influencer. I think it's really weird to say out loud, especially as an elder millennial, to call myself an influencer. And I do have a TikTok that you can go find, and it's pretty funny. But
You
I
are an
know
influencer. I will just
Yeah,
validate that.
yeah, and I was like, and you are funny, so
thank
check,
you,
Yeah.
check.
thank
You're
you.
good. You're good.
But I think when it comes to channel specific, there are a couple things to focus on when you think of influencers here. So we've got so many great ones, but I do want to talk just quick about what it means to build an influence lifestyle. And I think it comes down to like, you've got to start with presence. You've got to start with some sort of impact in deciding what you want to share with the world. Like more than just a high level, like I want to talk about marketing. Like my purpose in life as my influencer in the Microsoft channel specifically is I want to shake up the norm. I want people to feel like they can come to me and question me because that's what I like. And then I want people to feel there's a sense of community in asking for education from me, right? So who are the people who have those things built in the channel? And I think some of my personal favorites are the entire Microsoft MVP cast. All of the MVPs are the best influencers in our whole space. They're the product experts. They're the ones you want at your business working because they know in and out, but they also have that validated trust from Microsoft, not just for themselves, right? Another one I really love, I don't see her on the call today because I think she is in Denmark still, and that is Mary Myers. She built her entire brand on becoming an influencer for Power Automate and Power Platform. And her Instagram, her TikTok, her LinkedIn, all of it is very well groomed together and really blended, and she does a fabulous job of it. Kristen Hosman, I think, is another example. She's on the call, so she'll LOL for me shouting her out, but she built an entire thing of influence in her B2B practice all around guiding you through the trail of ERPs, right? So two great examples. Another personal favorite for me in the supply chain space is AJ. You know AJ from DSWI, an amazing influencer. A lot of great things to say. And then the last one I'll shout out is my bestie, Sean Dorward. He is the best when it comes to learning about AI, and I would like to be like him one day. So those are the
I
ones I would say.
I think that is a great list of people who we refer to, who we know have credibility, who have been in the space and have a great POV. And I think that's something
Exactly.
that's super important when you're looking for someone to represent your brand is, do they have the same POV as you? Because um, by extension, they're you, they're part of your
Mhm.
brand as well. So that's super important when you're looking at that and how they share information about you and your products or just you as a person because I think that world is blending too, as George Costanza says, our worlds are colliding, our professional and personal are becoming similar as much as we might not want them to. I think we have to be very aware of that as well. For
Yeah.
me, something that I think you said that was really interesting too was the fact where you're like, places and people are kind of those worlds are colliding too. Like when you were
Mhm.
talking about the ERP software blog, uh, Anya, we're gonna name drop here as well. She's really good at having her blog posts and having that notoriety out there, but she also has her community built out, and she also is able to have that reach of people. So it's not just
Agree.
MVPs. We have some other folks and other people in the community as well who may not be as technical, but also have that influence and have that um, credibility because they've built up their brand that way as well. So um, don't discount them when you're thinking about what an influencer looks like in our industry. So
Exactly.
moving on. So how do we engage with them authentically? For me, I'm a little skeptical when I see that unboxing going, "Oh, look at this new crochet," even though I want one of those pots really, really badly. How do we blend the authenticity of that they're truly having something to say and not just paying to play? What tools do
Yeah.
you use to capture this because it's tricky too to find out like how much is your ROI really looking at when you're doing this. So, Liz, how do you manage all of this in the marketing world?
Yeah, so as a data-driven marketer, I always go back to attribution and data is key, right? So you don't want to say, oh, this person's an influencer, or that person's an influencer without being able to measure it in some ways. And so my personal belief is that authentic engagement really starts around proper attribution within your CRM platform to track those relationships for targeted outreach. For example, we have a partner portal, so we can track engagement in there to see which partners are really engaging with our content. We do spiffs so that we can pay and reward not just the business, but the individual reps who are really promoting us. As well as we're, talking about things like marketing development funds and that sort of thing, and figuring out how do we get those to the hands of the people that really have the biggest impact and the most influence. I've also at past organizations used platforms that are for gifting, like Sendoso. Sendoso is great. It's a little expensive, depending on what your budget is, but they will literally let you curate gifts that you can not only co-brand, but they'll ship them out for you, pack them. You can put your own swag items in there. And if you're on a lower budget, like internally right now, we're using a platform called Thinks, THNKS, and it literally just lets us send out gift cards
Mhm.
that we can pick from various vendors to send out to thank them for being engaged with us. I'll give another mention out here to Anya because at past organizations I've worked at, we've unexpectedly just sent her something, or I saw that she had all these mugs, and so I'm like, ooh, I want to be one of those. I know Anya's an influencer, so I'm going to send her my company's mug.
Yep.
And so she did, and of course, the beauty of Anya is that she promoted it on her social feed, right? And so being able to have, those types of things available to really not only track that measurement and who you're sending them through. So, we do a lot of things like also with customers, we'll we've purchased this new tool called Vocal Video, which I absolutely love. If you haven't looked into it or heard of it, I write that one down. It lets you create a script of questions that you can email to somebody, and it literally does a case study or a testimonial where they just do it at their desk and takes 5 minutes. And then you can mix and match these to create videos for your marketing efforts or for them to use for promotional purposes as well. So, you know, and end users, whether they're the partner, the influencer, the customer, getting them to somehow not only express their thoughts for influencing your brand, but also allowing them to then be rewarded for that when they're not. I think the key here is when they're not expecting it, is how you build authenticity.
I know. And I think that's so important that, it's coming from an authentic place. Like they're not doing this because they know they're going to get a mug or they're going to
Right.
get a gift card or something like that. That's when you get real feedback, hopefully positive. But I think most people are a little shy, or unless you really did them dirty, to say something negative about them. So a mug goes a long way. And to your data point, data marketing is a science and an art. So I'm all about it with you in regards to attribution, because someone's going to ask you, like social media 10 years ago, like what are you really getting out of it? And now it's just a part of your day to day.
Yeah.
I think where we're going to be at in another couple years from now, it's going to be like that for all things referrals and influencers. So, but we'll talk about trends and crystal balls later in the call. But for me, the power of the swag, I think I've said that more than once on the show as well. It goes a long way. So, Kelsey,
Yeah.
what do like? You've been quiet, but now it's your time to
My dog,
shine.
like my
Uh,
dog has not.
oh, talking about influencers, I think my dog gets the most interactions on my LinkedIn than anybody else. So
Frankly,
that that
dogs
that's
always
fine.
do.
Yeah,
I,
they always do. So you're good. You're good.
yeah.
Well, how do you guys use it and track it, and what tools do you use? We always love a good list of tools on our show.
Yeah, definitely. I think like being newer to it, and newer to like the channel marketing section, we like in my past, a lot of the different platforms that I've used, especially when entering the space, because I know it can be daunting, and kind of similar to what we talked about before, just like getting out there and trying things and experiencing it. I've used like Brand Watch and Aspire,
Mhm.
just to pull from that, especially when you're, if you are on a budget or if you are trying to find someone very specific to your industry and you don't know where to start on a social media platform, I do think it is a fantastic place to start. However, the best, would say, relationships that I've built and seen in the influencer marketing space when it's come to promoting our brand or promoting a brand has been just through like that honest, genuine connection, whether it be online through LinkedIn, starting those conversations, reaching out to people who are influential in the space and starting to chat with them and building that relationship. So they do become, I guess, like a spokesperson or someone you can rely on for that word of mouth marketing. And that word of mouth testimonial has always proven to be the most rewarding, I would say, whether it be online or at a trade show, definitely would be my
Yeah,
top ones.
I think authenticity falls into this place as well. We've spoken a
Yeah.
number of times also about giving before grabbing, and like asking and giving before you ask for something back. I think that's super important to make sure you're having some authentic bleh. We will try that one again. Authentic. Promise that I do this on the regular. Oh, and look at Anya with her mug out.
She said, I've got a mug.
Ah,
She's got her
there it
mug. She's
is.
got her mug out.
It's Solver.
Um,
And
thanks
that's
for,
why we love you, Anya.
but it's little things like that that I think that make that interaction authentic and real as well. So, thank you all for sharing that. And now we are going to take a quick commercial break to thank our sponsors as we're thanking people today. We have Partner Talks, MSDW, Vicinity Marketeeri, OMSI, and USD Pay, who are proud sponsors of the Channel Marketing Academy. Thank you for supporting our little community that could. Without you guys, we wouldn't have a website. So I think that would be the basis and to keep our lights on over here. So thank you again for supporting, and shameless plug if anyone else would like to join our community. This is like, the cost of less than 1 hour of training from anywhere else. And I think it's well worth the money if I may say so myself. So go check out our supporters and come please be a sponsor. So thank you again for everyone. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. We're going to continue on. Do you guys have examples of where referral marketing has worked well for you, and how did you track it? So, Sam, why don't you kick us
Yeah.
off on this one?
Yeah, so when I think of referrals, I think of a couple of different kind of vehicles of them. So referrals to me, I'm on the partnership team here at NETSTOCK. So a partner referral we treat very differently than maybe a existing customer referral. So we have separate programs and playbooks for each of those. Most of our business is sold through the VAR channel or the reseller channel here in the Microsoft space, especially, as well as Acumatica. And we've got kind of I would say a baked process that needs some rebaking, because I think, you build it once and you leave it, and it does need to kind of iterate and change. But we've got partner agreements that come first and make sure we're paying our partners equitably. And a fun example of this, actually, last year I quit my full-time job to become a consultant. A lot of people knew that. And then I took a job at NETSTOCK because it's amazing and I couldn't pass it up. But I had signed agreements with ISVs in the channel just because of kind of my presence in the channel and still being involved. And I actually got a 3-year commission on a deal that closed that I referred to one of them. So even me personally, I got to experience the referral side from that. And my experience with that company has been amazing. I still have, an active one as Sam Bush personally, not just with my business. So very cool. The way that I've seen it work best is from a partner channel perspective specifically, so not customer or friend to friend, really like ISV to ISV collaboration has been one thing that in my past has been the most successful example of that working together and unifying for a simple thing. I'm going to say a channel that I know we don't talk about often, but the way I went to market with NetSuite when I was at a previous role is we basically partnered with 2 other ISVs and NetSuite to show an end-to-end process of what in the ERP and out of you could do from an accounting perspective. So we'd have all our friends in there kind of showing step 1 is you build your stuff in the ERP. Here's how we come in. Here's where this one comes in and this. And if you buy all of us together, that's the flow that you get, not out of the box, but like that's what we'll implement for you. And that ended up being one of our highest revenue generating streams of income for 2 different businesses that I worked at on the NetSuite channel. So I think a lot of the channels are different as well.
That's good. Like I'm a born and bred Microsoft
I
girl,
know.
so we need different perspectives in there
I
as
started in the
well.
dark side. I
Yeah,
started in NetSuite.
hey, we are a channel. We are
Exactly.
agnostic to which ERPs you guys sell, because I think they're all kind of the same, yet a little.
Oh,
They all have
yeah.
their own little flavor as well. So we'll.
Oh man.
Oh,
No,
I
we can
know.
let's have a podcast on that, because I think totally the opposite. I think they're all so different. And if you as a business are treating all the channels the same in your go-to-market, that's why you're not winning in any of them. But
Yes.
that's another topic for another day.
That's another topic for another day, but tune in to Sam's podcast to hear more about that one. Um, so what about you, Liz? What do you guys do as examples and referral marketing, and how has it worked for your company?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback off of something Sam just said too, because we were at a trade show earlier this year, and somebody that I used to work with brought over a prospect from their booth to me because the prospect was saying they needed this,
Love it.
right? And he's like, well, I can help you with, they came to them for what they were solving for. And then he literally hand walked him over to my booth and said, hey, talk to Liz. She's got what you need. So like, what better endorsement can you get than that, right? And so back to your point, like building these, I call them my work family or my channel family or my
100%.
channel friends, whatever. It's all the same. Like I have just as close relationships in these channels that I work in as I do in my personal life. And some of these are very blended and there's no line. So, those relationships really do matter because that is where the authenticity now you've got me going. Authenticity comes into play because I didn't ask for that, right? It just organically came to me. So at Solver, we've got a couple things. We have a customer success team that has built a customer loyalty program. And I think it's one of the better ones out there that I've seen at the organizations I've worked at. And so what we ask from our customers, and back to attribution, we have data in our CRM to track which customers are references, when did they become a reference, who are they talking to when we ask them to become a reference. But it's not as simple as would you be a reference, right? We ask them to do a case study with us. We ask them to write a review for us, whether it's on G2 or a marketplace for Microsoft or Acumatica or Sage or whatever channel it might be in. And then in addition to that, we give them special perks. So we host an annual customer and partner conference. So if they become a loyalty customer for us, they get a discount on that conference attendance. We have an online academy for learning. They get access to one instructor-led, you can do on-demand or instructor, free course for that. They also get a one-on-one session with a consultant to ask any question they want, right? Like, so we give them these extra things. They also get access to swag and extra holiday perks and things like that. So, I think that has really, I think customer influencer marketing has become even more important over the years to really help you find additional channels to get the word out about what you do. We've had multiple customers that will go from one employer to another, just like I was talking about with consultants from a VAR, for example, that will go over there and say, oh, you guys don't have this solution, or you're having this solution. I've used Solver. I like it, and I like it better. I'm going to recommend that we, give you guys a try at my new organization. So once again, that's so authentic. I didn't buy that, the customer just had, but it starts with that good customer experience. If the customer doesn't have a good experience, the opposite can happen, right? So how do you find those people, nurture them, and that sort of thing? We've also implemented some things internally outside of that. So like I mentioned, we've got the vocal video for testimonials. We create case studies that are not only a PDF format. We share those on social. We then share those with the influencer, whether it's the partner or the customer or whatever, and ask them to share them as they're going through and working with whoever they are so that we can get that word out. So it's not just a one and done, it's only for us type of thing. And then we also have implemented, we use HubSpot internally for our CRM, and we've got HubSpot scores. And now HubSpot allows us to create scores by contact type or company type. So we've got a HubSpot score for partners. We've got a HubSpot score for customers. And some of these are to help qualify leads. But when it comes to partners and vendors, we can see which ones are engaging with us the most and use that score to determine, hey, this is somebody we recommend. This is somebody we validated. This is somebody that we know is potentially going to be an influencer for us. So, and then we can report on that data based on those engagements. So, I think that at the end of the day, I kind of look at this as like referrals are typically somebody you pay. Influencers you don't, right? And now some influencers pay to play, so there's a little bit of a crossover, but I think that the influencers that you don't pay, the organic ones, are those ones that really have the most success that is priceless. Yeah.
It's the social proof of it all, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to buy from a person who sells the software. They want to buy from a person who uses the software already, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that comes back to the credibility factor. And I don't want the salesperson giving me their sales pitch. I want to hear on the day-to-day how it works. And one thing that I was like hooray is that you have a referral program in place. I think there's so many partners out there who are amiss or scared to ask or scared to put it out there that this is something that you can be a part of or that you can do. So I think you're giving a lot of people the confidence to go out and build that referral program because I think a lot of us are scared to go and ask like, "Hey, will you do a case study for me?" or "Hey,
Mhm.
would you say something good about me?" So I think
Or
that's
even just
super
starting with a
important.
customer advisory or a partner advisory
Yep.
board, right?
Yep.
You
Just like
know,
dip your toe,
just
dip your toe.
yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah, gateway to get things started. And I think people like full circle again, people are friendly in this space and will definitely help you out. So I think it's important that you start somewhere and have something on paper so that you know where your baseline is too. And you can track it later because that's very important as well. And we have a question.
Ooh.
Um, so here we go from Kristen. If I make a post, should I be saying it's paid sponsorship or unpaid sponsorship? Ooh, good question. How do you guys feel about that?
Okay, depends on your contract. First off, always read the contract. Some contracts will say you have to. My hot take on this is if you want to truly be authentic to your follower base, you should tell them.
I agree. I would agree.
It's uncomfortable though, sometimes, especially in our small little space as well. Um,
But
Kristen,
I
I would
think
love
it's
to chat about it.
worse. I think it would be
Okay.
worse if you don't say it and then someone finds
Yeah.
out and then
Yeah.
snoops you out for it later.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
are a
Well, and it's as
small group,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I
and
think
it's
Even
you
as
like,
have
simple as
to.
saying sponsored by, right? Like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
kind of like
Or
you did with
just
your
like,
commercial, right?
yeah.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I got invited to speak at a partner conference and they hosted me. So I said, I am here because they hosted me, not
Yeah.
because like I signed a contract saying that I have to do services so that they'll pay for it, right? So I think it's the terminology you use is really impactful in those moments again because you're building continued trust, especially as a consultant.
And I think you've built your brand and also you shouldn't be afraid to say like,
Mhm.
hey, this is worth something as well. So I should be able to ask like what's the worst that'll happen
Mhm.
is that they say no. But I think there's some worth behind what you say as well and what you put out there. So um maybe you've never been paid before. She wanted to put that out there, but it may be
We were
this will
not
be
paid to
a
be
good
here, by the
opening.
way.
No, no, we have no money. That's why we have sponsorship.
That's why we have sponsors. They keep the lights on.
We keep the lights on here, but hopefully one day,
Yeah.
But I think that transparency leads to that on authenticity.
Mhm.
That's super important. So,
Yeah.
great question. Keep them coming. We love the questions here at the
That's for the
CMA.
question.
So, any others out there? We will keep going on. So one of the questions that I have for you guys is we talked about what you should do, but what shouldn't you do? What are some of those no-nos that you've seen that might be a little cringeworthy or that you've tried and haven't worked, to save us from not making those same mistakes? So Kelsey, what have you seen or done that we can save some personal embarrassment or time or energy from in the future?
Yeah, I would say some do nots would be firstly, do not jump in without a plan or a strategy. I know a lot of people are like, ooh, influencer marketing. And they just jump in and they start reaching out to people. And even just how we spoke about the data piece, like they know nothing about the person, they know nothing about the deliverables that they even require. And then in the end result, they end up being disappointed. But there was nothing in place to start. So if you don't have something in place, you can't really expect to get anything out of it. And then I would say the second and like one of the biggest ones, especially as we like even just talking about the user generated content or even micro influencers, is don't just pick somebody based on the fact that they have a large follower account. like a large following on their account, or they just shoot out tons of content a day. Like don't, and you're looking just like organically through LinkedIn or something like that. Like pick somebody who actually resonates with like your brand, your company, everything along those lines, speaks to the products you want to, promote or discuss or have that support behind. Because when you don't, and you just pick someone based on the follower account, I think that's where you lose a bit of that credibility, that authenticity, because it just feels like you picked them just because they're going to get it out to the most people, but it might not be the right people.
Yeah, I love that. I have one thing. I had a call this morning with an ISV partner. We're trying to kind of figure out a selling story together, and they're a European-based company, and he said our first step every time is to make sure we have the same vibes. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never felt more seen before in my life. Like he wanted to start with like, do we have the same principles as a business? Do we have the same goal points as a business? And I think that can be really transferable to how you try to find influencers or thought leaders specifically, is thinking about their core value. Does it align with your businesses and also your prospects?
For sure, because what's going to be coming out of their mouth or out of their
Potentially about
feed
you.
is about you and your
Mhm.
brand. So it's super important that you have that, partnership that's more than just skin deep and not just looking at followers. Even though it's tempting, we are quality marketers here, so we should be looking at micro segmenting, and the same thing for the influencers and also for referrals. I think we would be amiss if we didn't talk about, you send a referral, you make sure it's someone who's already in your industry and not just someone who's not speaking your language, because sometimes they'll say something that doesn't fit for you. So you have to be really aware of, is your is your prospect or the person that's sending out that information, is it really user specific, or do they want to know that you're cool and that you're nice and that you're gonna vibe, or are they looking for something very specific from a functionality standpoint? And that might also trigger who makes more sense to share from a referral standpoint as well. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of other don'ts. So, Liz, are there some that you have that you've seen or have tried and, have evolved since then?
Yeah. Well, I'll go back to the comment that was made earlier about don't not share. If you're a sponsor, like let's just reiterate that. Anya had put a comment in there is, well, if an ISV is being promoted by a VAR, shouldn't that be shared? I saw it pop up. And I think all you need to say is that we partner with this solution.
Language.
And that in and of itself is saying that, even though we're paying them for that referral, that they've vetted that. Like VARs are trusted advisors for their customers, and so they aren't going to just bring in any ISV solution. And so I think it's as just simple as saying, we've partnered, and it accomplishes that to let everybody know that that's why this partner is being brought in, or this solution set's being brought in. I'll also go back to the don't neglect attribution. Everything for me is around attribution. If I can't report on it, it doesn't exist. So, and then don't treat everybody the same, right? I think that when it comes to really, once you have figured out a way to measure it and track it, having different tiers, whatever that looks like for you, of how you engage with those people on a day-to-day basis. For example, I mentioned that because we're in the FP&A space, we sought out that new influencer, the FP&A guy. And back to what Sam was saying, we sat down with that person. I knew nothing about this person, right? This is not anybody I'd ever talked to, and I just knew that, he seemed to be like he's in a space. So I didn't have anybody to call to say, hey, have you worked with this person before? And so during the conversation when we were vetting that resource, I was like, so what are you looking for in a partnership, right? Because even though that would be a vendor for us, I consider that a partnership, right? Like I wanted to hear their perspective on what they hope to get out of the relationships to make sure it aligned with my vision of what we would get out of the relationship. So I would say don't be afraid to ask the hard questions when you're entering those relationships. And then I think we've said this over and over again, but to get that authenticity and things not to do, don't be over promotional, right?
Yes,
Don't
Lord,
be,
yes.
trying to pitch things that are, offering you only value while you're doing it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I think people see through that quickly as well. Like if you're
Hmm.
only doing it for me, no, you still have your own brand to value and not
Yeah.
devalue it in the process. So,
Yeah.
um, good points. And I promised that I would leave lots of time for this last question because I was promised spicy things are going to come out. So as our last one before the summer break, here we go. So. I've been liking this question about having a crystal ball and where do you see it evolving in the future. So I'm going to ask it again this time. Sam, kick us off. Where does your crystal ball see all of this going in the next couple years?
Okay, I'm going to say two things. The first thing I'm not going to expand on. The second one I am. Okay. So if you have presence at all, you are already an influencer or a thought leader. You just don't use it to your advantage. I
Mm.
think every single person is an influencer, just a matter of how far, how deep, and who you're influencing, whether it be personally or professionally. So I'm going to leave that there. The other one is if you've seen me at a speaking session or talk to me about marketing, I truly believe that if you are not working this way currently, you're behind the curve. But if you're not in 3 years, you're even more a mess. And that is B2B is the seller-free buying experience currently and should be moving forward. If you do not have consultants on your business who are already thought leaders and already speaking the language that their customers are speaking, you are already behind when it comes to B2B purchasing now. And you should only hire those people. And if not, then you need to maybe gut your fish and start over. Because
Mic
nobody wants to be
drop
sold to
on
And
that
anymore.
one.
let me just clarify something you're saying there, Sam. I don't think
Please
you're
do.
saying that these people selling the product are going away. They just need to be influencers themselves.
No, I think I'm saying part of that. So I think
So,
account executive
okay.
title should be gone. I think that's a fake title. All they do is sign
Yeah.
some paperwork, set up some demos. People can debate me on this. I've worked at 5 different companies. I've been consulting in the space. You can debate me. Um, the best sellers are the ones who have used the product before, who have sat on both seats of it, and can solution sell and not just sell the platform. Account executives sell the platform. Those people
But
are
the account
gone.
executives offer the human aspect that
But
people
not
buy
all
from
consultants
people.
are not human.
Then what'd you say? They're not all
I
human?
said not all consultants are non-human. I think
That is
our
true.
solution consultants at
Yeah.
NETSTOCK are some of the best sellers when it comes to building a product fit, right? When I was at Flowcast, it's the best I've ever seen. We had former accountants selling accounting software to accountants. It's like I'm speaking the same language as my person every day, all day. I know their terms, I know their things. But when you get an account executive coming in, sometimes they're not that person. So I think it's like how you hire and what their background looks like and how they sell maybe is more important. But I do believe in a seller-free economy.
That is very spicy and
Yes, it is.
interesting.
It might be more spicy than what I was going to bring up, but we'll see.
Oh,
Show it last.
well,
Show it
no,
last.
we're good. We'll have I'll palate cleanse in between this. Like I think we have a new topic that has built out over this after. And I'm not disagreeing with you, Sam, but at the same time, maybe the sellers are just going to evolve and they're going to have to become more technical because the buyer is becoming
Oh,
more
totally.
technical.
Mhm.
So maybe it's the same role, you're just doing it differently. So I don't
Yeah,
know if they're
like you're
going
an
away.
SE, like a solutions engineer
Mhm.
focus versus just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I've never
because
seen
you're
somebody
subject matter
transition from
experts
one
on
to
what
the
you're
other very
selling.
easily.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I think you're searching a little bit for a unicorn. There's unicorns out there. There's some fabulous people who can do all of those things, but
They all work at
um
bars.
well, then, we have to use them for our referrals and
Mhm.
get them on our side that way. But I think that is really the future is okay. Like how far can I grow this partnership with a person rather being sold to, because I've already done my homework in the back end, but that is a whole other hour-long conversation that you'll probably hear on Sam on Bush
Mhm.
at one point or another.
I'm going to do a
Um,
recap of this on
oh yeah.
my LinkedIn, and this will be on there.
Please, please. We love this conversation, and yes, anyone else want to weigh in on this? We have we know there's a lot of you out there who have opinions, so get yourself typing
Okay,
or off
I'll
camera.
answer this question. So I was typing the answer to your question, Carol, right now. So she asked you think most buyers already do their own research before they talk to you. So in
100%.
2025, the stat is B2B 2025. They consume 20 pieces of interactions about your business or the topic before they ever hit any like contact us info. So they don't need a seller. They're finding what they have already. Now they need you to tell them how that solution fits into their problem.
And I'm going to shamelessly plug our book club, and at this time on the You
Yes.
Ask, They Answer is
Okay.
exactly on this topic, on how far along they will ask these questions and search for the answers before vetting you out before they even pick up the phone or answer or something or other. So, and I think they're going further and further along that cycle. So,
Yeah.
great. Ooh, more chat questions coming in. Travis says, I know that we do both. We can have a
We
sales
do
team that can
currently.
start the conversation after marketing hands them off and then bring in our consultants as the process evolves. I think if you can have the opportunity to have all of those and have that seamless conversation is great. I think you have to be
Mhm.
careful though that you don't that internally you share that information because
Yeah, so you're not repeating.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because nothing grinds someone's gears more than wasting their time because they have to
Yeah.
say the same conversation over again. So, um, but you know what? Everything, what if it works for you, fab. Kristen says, I have several clients that I didn't implement that tell me that the sales team didn't know the process, overpromised, and then underdelivered. Shame on them. Naughty, naughty
That's what I'm saying. They're
salespeople.
not connected.
So they appreciate talking to the person implementing because they also know the product because they use it. And I think that comes back to understanding and the knowledge of the process. So
Mhm.
all good points. And this comes back to being
Awesome.
authentic and transparent and like, full circle moment here.
Mhm.
So Kelsey, I tried to palate cleanse a bit from the spicy talk. Where
I was,
what trends do you see in this market as we move forward?
mine's going to be a lot less controversial,
Sorry.
but
That's okay. We
I
need
would
all
say
walks of life here.
just talking about like the credibility piece and the authenticity piece, I think a lot of it will be like those micro influencers and turning those, you know, account executives, marketers, everything like that within organizations into those thought leaders. And I think that's where it's going to go because I do believe people that are more invested in it or more involved in certain things, they are more passionate about it and they just come off more credible and real. So I see more of that. I do think like the paid influencer piece will obviously always be there, but I do think a lot of people are going to start and will continue to lean towards micro influencing thought leadership, and
Yep.
forever it will be user generated content will be key because if somebody's talking about your brand and you're not having to sell it, then that's the most credible.
You've reached the summit of where we all
Yeah.
want to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Liz, how about you close us off with what do you see in your crystal ball?
So this is where it becomes controversial for me. And I did say people buy from people they trust.
They do.
Having said that, what do you all think you trust a lot these days? AI. I
Mhm.
believe that AI is going to be a new referral source for all of us. And if we don't figure out
Already is.
how to make sure that we're part of that AI engine's
Yeah.
insight when people are asking, because if you just look at SEO stats over the last 2 months, they have plummeted. And that's because Google released their AI mode and people are getting their answers at the beginning and not even
Yep.
clicking on anybody's site anymore. So, for example, we have put LLM.txt text on our website so that
Yep.
the search engines can find that, right? If you are not doing that, I don't care what you say, because at some point it's all going to become robotic, right? And even though AI is not a human or a person, or it's a thing, and it definitely will be playing into our referral sources in the future.
Oh,
Thank
it's
you,
already
Liz.
taking over. I love it. No controversy there on my part.
Okay.
Done.
And I was worried we were going to go an entire hour without speaking of whispering the words
I was
AI
actually
in a
really
marketing
proud.
chat.
I was like, oh.
But
Yeah, I
super
just thought it might be
important.
controversial because it's just not a human. It's not, we always say people buy from people they trust and they're authentic. And like, some people don't believe that in AI, but like I use it every day, all day. And
Literally.
that is my go-to source for everything.
When was the
So
last time
that
you
is my
opened
referral.
Google?
Yeah.
When was the last time you opened Google for a search?
Well, I still
Like,
use it, but I just take the top snippet
Yeah.
at this point.
exactly. I'm
Yeah.
like, you don't actually use it. You use generative
Snippet.
AI right in there.
Yeah.
Gemini is his name. Yeah.
I think that's really the balance of how do we have a real relationship and balance it with the AI top of funnel, bottom of funnel. How do we discern what's real, what's not, and we're
Yeah.
still all in that world as well. So exciting times up ahead.
Mhm.
I am very excited to have any of you look into your crystal balls and tell us more about where
I'd
you
love-
see this going in the upcoming months. I don't think it's even years at this point, especially when it comes to AI. So I want to thank all three of you for being here. The lively conversation. I didn't even see the hour go. I hope everyone on the call enjoyed it. This is our last one before our summer break, where we will dip our toes into lakes and oceans and travel around a bit. But looking forward to catching up with you guys in the fall. So please stay tuned for that. We have some cool new stuff coming. We have some awards that are cooking up as well. So keep posted on where we're going with that. And what's better than being by a lake or an ocean than reading a book? So please come join our book club. I know Anya has already put in the chat. They ask you answer. I cheated on a 8-hour road trip and I listened to the book, but us like, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So do what you can to join us for that. Please sign up for that as well. And if you've missed a session for a good reason or not, you can always go back and listen to these ones online, except for that 1 month where we forgot to hit record, but we have learned since then. So thank you again, everyone. I see messages still coming in. We have 1 minute. I don't know if there's anything else.
Listening's
No,
not cheating. That's what I needed to call out. Listening to a book is not cheating at all.
okay, good,
And neither is dropping the text in AI and having it summarize it for you.
Also not cheating. Also
you
not
know,
cheating.
just come to our book club and let's talk about it because uh, I think that there's not so much controversial stuff, but some things that you're like, is this still pertinent in 2025? And he's kind of come out with new versions of it as well. And I think this is a fab way to start your summer. So please join us. Thank you again, everybody, and see you in September. Okay,
See you in
bye.
September,
Thank
my friend.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.